And so those that are really affected can get the treatment and attention, because, anyone in the hospital that shouldn't or couldn't be there, one, right, you're exposing yourself to those who are sick, but also you're taking away the attention from those that really, really need it. So it's really important that the healthy or asymptomatic, right, stay home and those symptoms and make you feel like you need to go to the hospital. And it's really important that what would you say to, what are the symptoms that would make you want to go to the hospital? What makes you stay at home? Where's the line?
So, and that's a great question, because with COVID-19, it's a very large spectrum of illness. A lot of people, either they are pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic, or either they have a mild version of the disease or they have a very severe critical version. So, a lot of people fall under those different buckets. But in terms of when to see a healthcare provider, if you don't, get better with 24 to 48 hours, certainly make sure that, you call your healthcare to, get medical help right away. And that's very important, because what you're seeing, at least here in, New York State, New York City, the number of people that are dying in their home has, quadrupled. Usually you see on any given day before COVID, a handful of people dying in homes, over 20. We're seeing 200 people now, majority obviously related to COVID. So make sure that you seek healthcare services if you need to. But I think another important concept is everybody understands first line of defense, second line of defense, third line of defense. Our first line of defense is our everyday measures, our social distancing. If we're able to stay home, if we're able to, cover our costs, stay healthy, that should be our first line of defense. Our second line of defense is need to see a healthcare provider, a hospital. We're going to be here for you. We're going to treat every single patient that walks into our doors and give it our all. We're going to give the same, type of care, racial profile, and none of that matters. We're going to give the best care possible. But at the same time, knowing that we're in a crisis situation, this is something that we have never experienced before. Hospitals are getting overwhelmed. Not something that we're used to. We're in a crisis care type of environment. And so while you're going to get that great care, at the same time, we want to make sure you're staying out of the hospital if you don't need to go to a hospital. So other people that actually need it are going there. A lot of people also, it's hard for them to kind of get into the thinking of, well, I'm healthy. I don't feel, that I have COVID. I can just go out to the grocery store and kind of do what I need to do. But it's not about you. About it. You may be a carrier and you go out to the grocery store, and unfortunately you have other people there that may not be, keeping that social distancing of 6 feet, and they're in the aisle, and they, you go ahead and you infect them by, the means of transmission. They then go home, and then they can infect their grandma, their children, and then that starts off a whole new chain of transmission. And what we know about this virus is every one person that gets infected can infect at least, 2 to 3 more people. So you're going to double that, then quadruple that, and that's how these new chains of transmission start. So that's why we say it's not about you. You can infect other people without even knowing it.
I was thinking a lot about, I'm someone that I'm very, I love people, and I love meeting new people, I love talking to people. So this has been really challenging for me, who just loves to connect. So that's why I created this digital platform, so I can still do it. I can still feel like I can give you I can still make an impact on someone without having to get near them or put them at risk in any way. So one thing that I've been doing is wearing really funny shirts that say funny things or have funny pictures on them to the grocery store, because it feels really weird we're not used to this society where I'm supposed to keep my distance or not hold the door for someone, or it just feels, it's really hard to retrain yourself to a minimum. It's you almost really have to continue to remind yourself, or write it down somewhere to say, make sure you're keeping your distance, or whatever you need to do, because I feel like that's been the hardest thing for me to stay consistently reminded of, is the actual distancing when I do have to do my essential outings.
Yeah, and you're certainly not alone. I think, a lot of us are in that social environment, or that person type, structure. And it's very hard, but this is where I think once we overcome COVID-19, and where there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. This is not something that's going to go on forever. But in order for this to be done faster, it takes all of us. It's not just the government that knows these measures, but all of us play a role. But I think what we're going to see is after this is all done with, is people are probably going to be very reluctant in shaking hands, hugging each other, because they're going to remember what infectious diseases do. So this is obviously just one infectious disease. People coming in close contact with one another. But I think generally what's probably going to happen is people are be more reluctant and in terms of making those close contacts, which it's kind of a double-edged sword. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's tough too, because these little changes, they'll be probably easy. Once this does go back to normal, when we go back to normal, those will start to fade out, and it'll feel like you want to creep into what you've been known to do, which is hi, nice to meet you. I mean, I think a reason why it's very uncomfortable for me, because I do a lot of meet and greets before I do a show, and I always want to hug my fans and shake my fans' hand, but then I can't continue to do my job if I do get sick, and then I'm shaking all these hands and hugging all these people. So I think it's like you said, it's a really good lesson that we're going to learn to take into our non-COVID world, that we need to just protect ourselves, because I think this is each other sick.
That's right. That's exactly right. The other thing that this virus is actually doing is, besides the effect it's having on people and the health and hospitals, it's actually revealing the gaps and the weaknesses in our society in America. So you're probably seeing in the headlines of people that obviously are at higher risk of getting COVID-19, not just those with underlying health conditions. And unfortunately, in America, a lot of people have themselves and see, I need to get myself in better shape, my health into better shape, because it's not just COVID-19, it's everything else that's down the line that can affect me. But some of the other things that it's revealing, in America, is those that don't have insurance or that are underinsured, have lack of access, go to work because they need to put food on the table, and they're exposing themselves and their loved ones, and these health disparities, inequalities that we're seeing. So it's actually revealing all of these underlying health conditions that we're seeing in America. And one of the things I really hope that comes out and make America a better place for everybody.
Yeah. So really staying more aware of our diets, what we're putting inside of our bodies, things that we can do to boost our immune system all year, instead of now. It's so funny, like, it's because it's like, well, these are all things, let's see, oh yeah, all things that I know, like even turmeric is something that I love, that I kind of take all year. So just things that we can do to keep our immune systems healthy. So but that's not really the world we want to go back to. We want to go back to the healthier, more connected, but safely, and also I think this has made us appreciate people in our lives that we don't always tell. Burning urge and desire to like go and hug my grandma, but I've had all this time to get to go visit her. And so I think it just puts a lot of things into perspective, and I think it's important, like you just said, we don't want to go back to the pre-COVID world. We want to go to a new world that we've learned a really valuable lesson from this, and that we can use in our life to prevent, right?
That's right, exactly. Unfortunately, this shouldn't have been our wake-up call. We've had so many instances that we've had in 2009, and we've had and Zika, and all these other types of infectious disease